Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, and wherever you're listening. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
How you doing, everybody?
And Mr. Joe Whitaker.
You're right, Tom, yeah.
In lieu of Alan this week, we have our good friend Gerald the Redsmith.
Bonsoir.
And of course, we're stuck with Jamie again this week. Hello, Jamie.
You all right?
Just very, very quickly, this week's shout-outs and thank yous go out to Andrew Mcquillan, Highland Boxes Ragtie, Jake Thompson, Jim Dockrell, Sears Wood Turning, and Chad over at Mancrafting. Chad, I'm loving the mug, but I have one small complaint. We'll get onto that in just a second. Also, very, very quickly, big thank you goes to everyone who has liked and shared and got in touch with us last week across the socials and on the Facebook group as well. There we go. I'm just going to get myself into my notes. This week's podcast is, as always, brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit Woodturners Abrasive Paste. For more information, yorkshire-grit.com, and also, of course, Chad over at Mancrafting. Seriously, these giveaways that are happening with the Mancrafting mugs, they are awesome. They are seriously cool. I'm sure the guys will back me up. I'm loving mine. It is excellent. Don't forget, you can visit our website, makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors, and there you can find out all the information about the sponsors, what's happening with the giveaways, etc., etc. Jamie, do you want to do the results for last week's giveaway? I'm sure people are.
Yes. Obviously, as everyone knows, we had a giveaway last week called the sponsorship giveaway because, as everyone knows, we're sponsored by Yorkshire Grit, like Richard just said, and Chad from Mancrafting. And so we was giving away a tub of Yorkshire Grit Woodturners abrasive paste and a custom Mancrafting and podcast tumbler. So the winner is, and I'll just see if I can read this here. That must be from down under. Yes. The winner is Dan Brent from Australia.
Awesome.
All right. Awesome,
Nice
Dan. Congratulations.
All right.
Congratulations.
So you are now the proud owner of a custom tumbler and a tub of Yorkshire Grit. Bit
Awesome.
of advice, don't eat it. Don't taste as nice as it looks.
The Yorkshire Grit. Why would anyone? Only you would do that, I think, Jamie.
Yeah.
I was using my my Mancrafting mug this week, and it was the first time I'd used it in anger. As a travel mug, and I filled it up with a cup of tea that I'd made because I was running late. I had this cup of tea, and I thought, I haven't got time to drink it, so I put it in this Mancrafting mug, took it with me, and it was literally too hot to drink until about 11:30 that morning. It keeps it hot for so long because I had the lid on and everything. Really, really good.
So that's your complaint.
Yeah. That's my complaint. They're kind of too good.
Your complaint is that it keeps hot things too hot and cold things too cold.
Well,
I'm not buying that as a complaint. No, I think that's good stuff.
I
Definitely.
actually, me and Steve Twidell made the exact same mistake. We both made a hot drink in it, and we ended up using them for like flasks for the first few days.
Yeah. Did you burn your lip the first time, the first sip? Yeah.
And we both turn around and tell Chad that you need to put some sort of disclaimer on them or something, like laser it on the side or something.
Caution: contents may be hot. Brackets.
Yeah.
Or cold.
And Chad, the one that you sent me, I can tell you absolutely looks great, but I've never used it because as soon as it arrived, my wife stole it. So I have no experience with it, but I'm telling you, it looks great. Anyway, so yeah. Thanks, Chad.
You have to swap
my wife. Yeah, no, there's no. Once the wife grabs it, you're not getting it back. That's now hers, and that's pretty much the case. So
That's what
awesome.
you hope for anyway.
And congratulations, Dan, because I hope you enjoy both of those.
Very
I
much.
can't imagine he won't. Gerald, is everything all right with your connection now? I noticed you dropped in and dropped out a couple of times.
No, it's okay. I just I'm not used to Google Chrome, so I messed up. It's entirely my fault. It's okay.
Operator error rather than anything else. That's all right.
Yeah, exactly. I won't touch anything. On that.
Fair
See,
enough.
I thought you gave up on us. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
No, never. Yeah.
That was wrong. But hey, I said it to his face. Give me a break.
Absolutely.
Richard.
Yeah, you get points for that. Chris, do you have anything you want to bring up for how do we word it? Your little segment.
No. I don't have my little segment. We have our little segment. I just happen to be the only one who ever puts
There's
anything
something
into
in
it.
Jamie's page this week,
No.
and it's telling me Chris has a question.
What's the question then, Chris?
See now, I'm going to explain this to people before you guys put me in a corner that I can't get out of, and we're not going to talk about that corner. Ask these guys to check social media, check questions that are brought to you, and I'm the only one who ever brings them to the table. These guys don't, and so all of a sudden they pigeonholed this into being my little thing. It's supposed to be our little thing, guys. But I do have a question from a listener, Richard. Is that what you're asking me?
That yeah, in a roundabout way. That was. Don't be cutting any corners now. Just come out with it.
That was just way too damn difficult. Okay. Well, we actually have two this week, and one of them was directed entirely towards me, so I'll go ahead and answer that, then we can move on to the second one. Andrew Mcquillan. And Andrew, how are you, buddy? I love you, but Andrew's testing to see how much of a geek I am this week. Because he asked, here's the question he asked. He said, he was at a woodworking show, and he was speaking to a gentleman who was a chair maker, and he said that the gentleman used Casein Glue. He says, now, I've never heard of Casein Glue before, and I know Chris loves to boil stuff up in his shop like I'm a mad scientist. And he wondered if I had ever tried it. I tell you what, I'll turn this around, and rather than answer that myself and be too much of a geek, I'll ask any of you guys, have you ever heard of Casein Glue before? Any of you?
Not at all.
I hadn't, in all honesty, but I do know. I googled it because I thought it might have been a typo on your part and that you meant cascamite.
No,
but it wasn't.
Different stuff.
So I do now know what it is.
Okay, well, should I explain what it is, or? But his question was, have I ever made it or myself and used it? And the answer is no and yes. I've never made Casein Glue myself, but yes, I have used it. Casein Glue is. Do you guys want me to go into this, or can we just move on from here?
No, let's go into it a little bit.
I'm actually interested to know, to be honest.
All right. Well,
Is it
Casein.
any good in carrier bags for sniffing?
Oh, God. No, Joan, it's not.
And you've broken Chris.
Well, first of all, Casein Glue is a thank you, Joe. Is a very natural is a natural product. It's a glue that you can make. You can absolutely make it at home on your own. I think that you can actually buy it. Well, you used to be able to. I don't know if you still can. You used to be able to buy it commercially made in a powder form. Of it is it's made from the proteins of milk. And glue much in the same way you would make cheese. And I can go through how to make it, but I don't know if you want me to get into that level of geekhood. But the point of it is it's made from a milk product, and it doesn't necessarily have to be cow milk. It can be goat's milk, but it has to be low-fat milk if you're going to make it for yourself, because the fat content in the milk, effectiveness of it. But Casein Glue is a glue that was used by a lot of the old-timers back in the day, and that's how they adhered two pieces of wood together. And I'm telling you, it is as strong, if not stronger, than any commercially made glue that you can buy today. There are advantages and disadvantages to Casein Glue. Casein Glue has a very long open time, which can be good or bad depending on if you're in a hurry or if you have a complex. It's an actual advantage. But the point of the Casein Glue, that the proteins in the milk after you've processed it will bond wood like you've never seen wood bonded before, and it is also 100% impervious to water. So it if you're going to be making, and a lot of the guys that used to use Casein Glue back in the, I think actually, you know what? I think Stradivarius, and don't quote me on this because I'm not positive, but I think Stradivarius made his violins out of Casein Glue.
Oh, okay.
It's a substance that is, it's like I said, it's a milk product that you can make at home if you'd like, but it lasts for a very long time. The bond is super strong, and it's impervious to wood, but it has a very long open time. So to answer Andrew's question to me about Casein Glue, Andrew, obviously I am that much of a geek. I do know about it. I have used it, but I have never actually processed it and made it on my own. And most people that use Casein Glue on a regular basis are going to be like chair makers, furniture makers, people who are making heirloom pieces that are going to be held, they're expecting to be held together for a very long time, because that is one of the properties of this glue, that it does bond wood for a very long time. So, Andrew, I hope I proved to you that I'm a geek.
Presumably, also the restoration guys would be into that kind of thing, the same as they would be with hide or pearl glue.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and a lot of it is if you're doing period pieces, if you're doing refinishing, or if you're trying to restore old pieces and you want to keep them natural, you may want to look into that. And I could tell you how to make the Casein Glue, but I don't really think we need to go into that. And if you want, anybody who wants to know how to make it, message me and I'll give you the recipe. But that's really kind of boring. Ragtie has a question that I think that we would all like to jump in on, and I'm going to let you guys jump in on this, whoever wants to jump in first. I love Ragtie. By the way, brother, I hope you're on the mend, man, because he's been going through some trouble, so God love Ragtie. But he said, gentlemen, if you could secretly put yourself inside the mind of any maker that you know of for 1 week, having full access to everything they know, as well as what they are doing, who would it be?
Ooh.
Andy Berkey. Without a
Okay,
shadow of a
why?
doubt.
Why?
'Cause the man is just a freaking genius.
You can't.
The man is just incredible.
Yes, he is. I agree with that.
The talent just goes beyond eternity. It just seems like there's nothing the man can't do.
You know, I think Andy's gift is he has a focus, and I wouldn't I don't disagree with that. All right, good for you, Jamie. All right,
and a shaper origin as well. That's
yeah. In other words, we love to hate him because he now has a tool we can't have.
But of course, everyone now has the official woodworking right to say he's not a real woodworker. And then comment on his videos that I could do that if I had like a £30 million rower.
All right. Well, who else wants to answer? Jamie's Andy Berkey. Richard, how about you?
I was going to get you to answer first, because I've made the comment before about cracking people's head open and scooping out their thoughts, and actually I think Joe would be certainly in the short list. Maybe not the top, but certainly kind of like.
Hold on, if I'm not top, that's not good enough, and I'll have to take a pass. Thanks anyway. Hopefully, someone get that reference.
It could be a guinea pig.
So I mentioned Joe. I think when we did the Joe interview episode spotlight thing, with the copper pipes and the nails in the coasters and things like that. It's just the way Joe sometimes approaches things from the flank rather than head on. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Little thing, and that's not how my mind works. I'm very much, like see a problem, and try and look for the obvious. When Joe's not, he's more the creative sideways thinker, which I'm definitely liking.
You appreciate the sideways approach Absolutely. That Joe sometimes takes to his stuff. All right, cool. Gerald, what about you, buddy? If you could put your head into any maker that you know of or are aware of, whether we know who they are or not, and learn everything they learned for a week, who would it be? Jamie, it's not you.
Question.
Give it up.
I agree with Jimmy in a sense because Andy's creativity and talent and craziness and way of seeing things that most of us don't see, that's pretty amazing to me. But frankly, I have to say that Bob Claggett, I would like to be in his head for 1 week, and it's pretty simple because the reason is pretty simple for me. He has a productivity that just amazes me. He's a dad. I think he has 4 kids. He puts a video once a week, or maybe from time to time twice a week online. He's doing a podcast. He's traveling a lot, and he's successful in combining all this aspect of his life, and that's something with I'm struggling with right now. I'm a dad. My kid is he's pretty young. He's 3 years old also, and learning how to deal with the working time, family time, resting time, and all that stuff is pretty new to me, and yeah, so beyond the creativity, beyond all the skills he has, dealing with the time, the family, the work, the people, the online community, and all. The guy is amazing.
Okay.
I mean, he's a productivity, pretty amazing productivity.
That makes total sense.
And also from a huge variation point of view as well. Recently he made a wooden sword, and then before that he made a shop cart, and then he's done electronics things, and then he's done Halloween costumes, and it's just a huge breadth of ideas that come out rather than always a piece of furniture, or always something, or always that, or it's just you never know what's going to be next.
Yeah, exactly. The range of his skills and the project he does every week is the kind of stuff I want to make. I do a lot of different things, and I like to try new stuff. And his wooden katana is just amazing. And
I can see that.
From reclaimed flooring, that just amazed me. And the idea taking leftover from his flooring and turning it into a katana is it's super cool. So yeah, that's something I would like to understand better.
Awesome. Joe?
Well, I've actually changed my mind while I've been watching the chat scroll by, because I was going to go with Dizzy Swan straight away. His mechanic's brain, the way he can just tear things apart in his mind, come up with solutions, come up with brand new mechanical inventions and everything like that. But sorry, it is Jim Bashir's in the chat mentioned Frank Howarth. And as soon as I saw that comment, it's got me thinking, nobody, and I don't mean any offense to anybody else, but nobody is as good as Frank Howarth when it comes to videography and storytelling. His videos, he's got the skill, obviously, his woodworking is amazing, his turning, everything like that is fantastic. But his videos is what sets him apart, I believe. I'd love to be able to think that far ahead of how he sets up his shots and knowing the story from start to finish before he's even made that first cut. And that's something I'd really like to get inside his brain, figure out how he's able to do that, and try and incorporate it into some of my work so I can see the end before I've got to it and plan it out from the beginning and work from there. But anybody who's seen his videos, like Jim's mentioned in the chat, it's a sight to behold and brilliant.
Definitely. And the animation as well, the little... Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's spot on. Everything adds to it. It's not like a little gimmick. I really like what he's been doing recently with his projection, like a second person explaining what he's doing on the one side. It's like I'd see a lot of people doing that just because they've learned how to do it, whereas Frank does it for a reason. There's a meaning to have it there, and it's brilliant.
Well, you know why I love the question so much and why I wanted to make sure that we asked it for Ragtie is because I kind of assumed what I knew just happened would happen. And every different person that we have all mentioned, we all looked to them and said, if I could put myself in their place, it all has to do with what we feel our own shortcomings are.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of saying, how can I improve myself? And I knew that was going to happen. And you know, and a lot of it is our perspective too, what we want to do and how we want to do it. Joe mentioned Frank for his videography. Jamie mentioned Eddie Berkey. I mean, and you know, Gerald and Richard and you. And I'm no different. I mean, because the person that I would like to spend, if I could learn everything this guy knows for a week, it has nothing to do with videography. It has to do with the craft itself. It would be Charles Neal. And I don't know how familiar you are with Charles Neal, but that man has been doing woodworking for quite some time, and he has forgotten more than I will ever know about what goes on with woodworking. And I would love to spend the time. I would love to spend a week, not even getting into his head, just with Charles Neal, because you would learn a ton of information. And Charles is a good old boy. And I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he has a YouTube channel. So if you're not familiar, it's Charles Neal Woodworking. Check him out. But yeah, that's the guy. If I had an opportunity to spend a week with anybody, I think he would be my final candidate, because I really enjoy the knowledge that guy has.
I think there's quite a few people on YouTube that, I mean, everyone's got their own little sort of thing that they're known for. You know, Frank with his stop motion, and his Izzy when he's engineering, and those kind of things. But don't forget that there's also a lot of people on YouTube, certainly that I'd like to get in their heads, that just comment. They don't put videos out, they just comment, and I just love to get in their head just for the sake of, like, what the hell were you thinking when you wrote that? Because that just makes no sense to me. You must have had these people.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I can think of a couple.
That could be an episode right there.
What were they thinking?
Doing out YouTube comments.
I mean, honestly, I'm sure each one of us could probably go down the list and talk about 10, 12, 20, maybe even 50 different people whose heads we would really like to get into. But if you make me choose one today, that would be my choice. And obviously those were your choices today as well. But, you know, if you turn the page and start this conversation tomorrow, we could have somebody else totally in mind, because there's so many incredible people out there that I would just love to hop into Izzy Swan's head, like Joe said. I would love to hop into DeResta's head. I would love it to hop into somebody, and they don't even have to be popular people. I mean, because Charles Neal on YouTube isn't very popular. I mean, he's only, you know, he does, comparatively speaking, very few subscribers, but the man knows a ton. I mean, Mark Spagnolo, who wouldn't want to jump in that guy's head for a little bit to find out what he knows? I mean, there's so much out there, and the fact that all these people we've mentioned are giving us a chance to observe what they do and learn from what they do, I think is what's so cool about this whole community, because it's not costing you a damn thing in order to check this out.
Yeah, not forgetting Tony Relu. No, we wouldn't want to jump onto him.
Oh, I'd love to.
jump into his head, I mean.
Steady on there, Jamie.
Well, no, let's be honest. Tony is the sexiest man alive. Let's just be honest. I mean, and not that I would ever want to jump onto another male, but if I was going to, then Tony, you're my man. Okay, so just watch your back. Anyway, I think we covered enough time with the questions I had. What else do you guys got?
Right. Well, I mean, we're doing our sort of open house policy chat. That's pretty much because we haven't really got a clue what we're going to talk about, I guess. I've got a few little, well, basically words written down, which hopefully will inspire me to come up with a question. But if there's anyone out there in the chat who has got something they want to bring up, ask, or mention, or, you know, just talk about in general, then I'd be interested to hear from the listeners, as always. But have you guys, you talked about glue earlier, Chris. Have you got any, I think somebody asked us in the past what our favourite finishes were, weren't they? And we all went around and said, well,
right.
Have you ever kind of rediscovered something which you use a tool, or you use a finish or a type of glue, and then you use it for that job, and then you put it on the shelf, and then you kind of forget about it, and then you find a new favourite, and then one day you go back in looking for something, and you go, oh, I'd forgotten I got that, and you reuse it, and it's like using it again for the first time?
Yes.
Do you ever have that?
Yes.
Because I did that with a finish the other day. A couple of people were going on and on and on, on about Osmo, which is a brand of finishes here in the UK, and I really like one particular one of their products. And then I tried another one, which is for outdoor stuff, and it didn't work. I absolutely hated it. It really was quite poor after a year. And I was looking for it again, and I've rediscovered a finishing oil from another company, Liberon, and it's kind of now my new favourite finish for inside projects. So has anyone had like a similar experience with either a tool or?
It's very funny you say that, because the exact same thing happened with me today. My uncle came up and he bought his walking stick up, and at the bottom of it he wanted it replaced. So I just basically cut the bottom of it off and returned a new foot for it, and put that out of like African blackwood, I think it was, or something like that. And I thought, oh, I'll see what I've got up on my shelf, like put something different on there. And I realised I've got some Hampshire Sheen's microcrystalline wax stick up on the shelf. And I was like, oh, I completely forgot I had that. So I put that on there, and I just remembered it actually come out. And so yeah, instead of using like the high gloss or the Hampshire Sheen original, I used the microcrystalline wax, and yeah, it was really, really nice. And I just completely forgot that I had it and how nice it actually really is. So
I quite like it, not just from the point of view of rediscovering something which was kind of forgotten, because obviously if you just completely forget about it, you know, dry, if it's tin of paint, they will go like get a skin and dries over, and you end up throwing it out, and it's a waste of money. But because it kind of uses things up as well, and you get more of a reuse of stuff. And also, it's like finding a fiver in your jeans pocket, isn't it? It's like, oh, I've forgotten I got that, and it's like having it brand new again. So,
yeah,
you know, I want to bring the audience in on this, and I know that you and Jamie have been discussing, so I don't know if he was monitoring the chat, but there are several really good questions that have been posed to us out there, and if I can find it without losing these on the, and I may have lost a few of them, and I apologize for that if I have, but the first one I'll ask is, well, the first one I'm going to answer is Mark Christopher, and the answer is no, Mark. But Simon Harmon had a question. He says, is there a material that you guys would like to work with that you have not yet had the opportunity to do so? And then I've got like 3 more lined up. Jamie, maybe you can catch up and take it from here.
Well, do you want me to answer first?
No, well, if you want to, but I'm just saying that the chat is moving, and there's a number of really good questions out there. I'm just saying, I just threw that out to the audience because it was asked to us. Is there a material that Gerald, Richard, Joe, Jamie, is there that you haven't had the opportunity to work with yet that you'd love to?
Yeah, I think I touched on this on my episode. I actually really want to try doing some leather work.
Oh,
soon.
Well, you got the right guy here right now.
Yeah,
Gerald.
and he don't actually live that far away from me, just across the water. So.
Just a short paddle.
Just get in the boat and roll over.
I'm going to get a pedalo.
Yeah.
Little parasail over to France. Why not?
I just got a vision of Jamie like putting on one of those really tight PVC rubber caps with a little pair of goggles from the sun booth, lathering himself up in goose fat and jumping off the cliffs of Dover. There in a minute.
Yeah. Doing like one of them Top Gear challenges.
With a little rubber ring with a duck on the front.
Be careful, Jamie, because you would reach France in an area called Picardy, and the guys over there are not really friendly. They are cool, but if they see a guy with a rubber thing on the head, maybe trouble ahead.
Yeah, they might hit me with their white flags.
Exactly.
Oh, shut up.
Dear, oh dear.
But Chris, to answer your question, I actually have one. There's a material I would like to try a bit more. I will try to explain that really quick. When I was a kid, my mother was a school teacher, and she used to make us masks for Mardi Gras with this plaster band. Basically, it's a fabric with plaster powder on it, and you dip it into water, and after that you put it on your face, and it solidifies pretty quickly, and you when you take it off, you have a mask of your face and you can paint it. And all the kids were doing that at school. And I remember that in the beginning of the week. So I went to the drugstore and bought some plasterboard and try mold casting, mold making and casting. So I made 2 of those of my left arm with different techniques, and pour foam in one and plaster in the other one. So I basically made 2 of my left arm, which is pretty cool because I've got one here and it looks like that. So that's the plaster one.
That's brilliant.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So it's right out of the mold. So I have to deburate here, but the details are pretty cool. And the other one is just made out of foam, and it's a little bit different, very light, but basically it's the same thing. And I want to do that for my laser work. I want to use this stuff to how do I put that?
Is it like
cut laser and
fit around
from exactly, to make bracers, leather bracers around it to basically have the right fit on my arm after that. And the technique is pretty simple, but it's not perfect. And I've searched a lot on YouTube, and I've found a channel explaining how to use the different resin they are selling to make the mold and to cast it afterwards. And that's something I would like to try a bit more. Resin, mold making and casting, but it's crazy expensive. So
it's almost like you'd almost have to be good at that and make it commission work in order to make it affordable to do if you really love doing it.
Exactly.
You know what? Javi is out in the chat, and Jamie, I don't know if you saw this question or not.
Have you? I've got it. Yeah.
Go
ahead. He goes, okay, there's a question for the panel. With the availability of mass information at our fingertips, do you find that most people value our craft less and less? Are people more jaded to uniqueness nowadays?
I think we kind of covered this in a past episode that we talked about, and it was about I think we discussed it as far as the learning curve goes. I'm going to say no. I don't think it has, but I'll let you guys chime in on that.
I think it depends at the angle that you're coming from with it. I mean, a lot of us have got the ambition to inspire others to do things for themselves. So if it's the case of somebody's got a little job or something little that they want to make, and they go online and they find the information so they can make it themselves, and that's brilliant. That's great. Excuse me. But when they want to do something that's maybe a little more specialized, so such as electrics, plumbing, like stuff like that, and then they take on a big job, it can cause a lot more problems in the long run than just paying a professional to come in. So really, I don't do commission, like I don't do this for a living, it's not my job, anything like that. So if somebody makes something that I make, that's brilliant. It's like a big compliment to me. But I could see if I'm trying to sell what I'm making and then people can quickly Google and find an image and then go and recreate it, I can see that could be a kind of a downside.
Yeah, from my point of view, because I do commission work.
You said do. Anyway,
and I like doing commission work because it makes more of my time more varied, rather than 9 to 5 in the office doing the same old kind of form stamping repetitive stuff. But so that's good for me, because you get a lot of people, they'll straight to Pinterest, or they'll see something in IKEA or on the internet, and you'll just get emailed a screenshot from the internet. Can you make me this? How much to make this?
Right.
And the idea they have in their head doesn't always correlate to the image that they've seen. And then you end up potentially putting a lot of time into producing a quote and talking to the potential client as to what they want, and then you never hear from them again because they thought, oh, well, that'll be this amount, and it ends up being 5 times as much, and they don't actually want what they've seen the image of, or they don't really know what that image is. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense.
On occasions, it's been good because somebody will say, I want something for this space that's vaguely like that. Kind of do your thing. And the other people want, I want that, and they expect it at that price. And obviously IKEA is a classic one for that. And
right.
It's meant I've kind of become a little bit almost crass in a way on occasions, because you end up just going, yes, I can, but if I say yes, I'm going to put this much work into it, and they're not going to that, and you end up turning loads of people away, which is obviously not what you want to do if you're running a business. So it's a double-edged sword, I think, potentially.
Well, let me, if I can, let me kind of attack I think the premise of the question. And Javi, if I'm wrong on this, then forgive me. But either way, I think it'll strike a point. His question was, has it diminished the things that we do, and has it become more of a unique kind of thing? And I think that, and you guys can either chime in on this or not. I think that because of the community that we all happen to be in, that almost 100% of us can look at somebody else's work and go, oh, I know how he did that. Oh, I know how cool that is. And then when somebody in our community does something that's unique to what happens within our community, we go, wow, that's unique. But I think what gets forgotten is this community is maybe 1% of the 100% of the population that exists on this earth. And so if you're talking about within our community, then does the uniqueness kind of, set us as a small, very small portion of the community that we live in apart? Yes, it does. But to 99% of the other people who are oblivious to how we do and what we do things, everything we do, from turning a pen to gluing 2 sticks of wood together to making a walking dinosaur, is absolutely unique to them. So I don't think that we need to have a perspective within ourselves to wonder how credible we each are. I think that we really need to have a perspective as to how we are presenting ourselves to the majority of people who don't even do what we do anymore. I mean, if there was 100 guys lining up at your door that were willing to, I don't know, frame in a wall for you, then you would all of a sudden realize that craft is no longer unique. I mean, anybody can friggin' do it. You got 100 guys out front of your front door. But when we are in a situation like we are today, where there maybe only be 2 guys out your front door, then you start finding out that this craft is rather kind of unique. And the majority of the population outside of our community doesn't view our thing, what we do, as ho-hum. They view it as, wow, that's pretty cool. It's so, I don't think that you need to look so into what we're doing to find uniqueness when there's a whole world out there that thinks everything that we do is absolutely unique and useful. Because let's face it, if the world came down to 2 plumbers, you'd have 2 busy freaking plumbers on your hand. I mean, and there would be a lot of people going, man, I wish I knew how to do that. And there are a lot of people out there that don't know how to do what we do. And so don't discount that. That's
and
important.
There's also quite a lot of people that actually, and I don't mean this to kind of diminish what we do. They don't care.
No, they don't.
I just want to
they need us. Until they need us. Until they need us, then they care.
Yeah.
I think something that will forever be unique is the passion behind what people make. I'm really sorry, my voice. Sorry about that. The passion behind what people make, because you may see people out there that perhaps make stuff literally to make a profit, and they're not really into what they're making. And I think you'll understand by what I say by that. You'll see pieces of work that you can tell they haven't put the heart and soul into it. They've got it done, they've got it out, and they've done what they needed to do to get it finished. And then you can look at maybe the exact same piece made by somebody who is passionate about what they do, and then poles apart. So if you've got somebody who is looking for something with that kind of uniqueness, with somebody that's put their time and their blood, sweat and tears into a piece, I think that will forever be unique, because like Chris was mentioning, that's unique to each of us. As opposed to, I think something recently that's been like bandied around all the different groups is the amount of bath boards that are being made recently.
Oh God!
So like the boards that go across your bath, so you can put an iPad or your phone in a glass of wine or a pint of beer or whatever. I don't know who's doing that in the bath anyway, but still, loads of people are making them. and obviously not going to name any names, but you can see some that are amazing and they've got ingenious little tweaks to their design that's unique, and you can tell that they've really thought about it and put the effort in. And then there's some planker woods that's got some nails through in a couple of boards and some lacquer sprayed over the top, and them selling them for 50 quid. And it's like, well, you can tell why them doing that. They've seen the people and buying them. I can get that planker wood and spray it and sell it. So it's hard that the craft is becoming so mainstream, but we will always keep hold of that the passion. I don't know how to word it.
But you know what? I don't know, and granted, I am not in the social loop that you guys are. I don't open myself up to the world anymore the way I once did. So I may be wrong on this, but I don't know that our craft is as popular today as it was 20 years ago. When it was Norm Abrams in the New Yankee Workshop. I don't know that we have risen back to the point where DIY was as popular as it once was. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I just know that people outside our circle who see the simple things that I do, and I do simple things on purpose, and I don't do complicated things for a reason. But even the simple things that I do, the people outside of our circle look at that with amazement. Like that's like, oh my gosh, you should be making so much money. And I don't want to make money off this, but they're amazed by the things that I'm able to do and how I know how to use tools. Because I have friends who don't know which end of a screwdriver to use, and they just think that the fact that I know how to use one is amazing. They don't get it. They're, into stocks, bonds, putting on a tie in the morning, going to an office. They don't spend the time looking to do DIY stuff. They hire people to do that. Well, you know what? The less and fewer of us that it becomes in this community, the more valuable our services actually become as well, because we become a very unique quality. And so you have to look at it that way. And so this goes deep into thought about a lot of different conversations, guys. It goes into how you price your work, how you do things, blah, 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 under the down line. But when you start finding out and actually realizing that you possess a skill that not a lot of other people do, then it shouldn't be hard to price your work knowing that there's not a lot of other people out there that know how to do what you do. Because there's not 100 guys outside the front door looking to frame your wall anymore. There's only 2. Keep that in mind.
I'm so glad you brought up the whole pricing work thing, Chris. We should definitely do a show on that, because obviously, it's easy, isn't it? It's your hourly rate times what your materials cost.
Sure. Wrong.
But also something that springs to mind is when you see people who don't necessarily know one end of a screwdriver from another, and they see somebody else using a screwdriver, they go, oh, that's easy, I could do that. And then it's perhaps not quite as easy in practice, or that really, really fast sped up 30-second clip that they saw on a viral Facebook feed of a really complicated build. There's actually a bit more to it than they first thought, and they end up, I saw a picture of one, I can't remember where it was on Facebook anyway, and somebody decided they were going to change the color of their fridge.
Mm-hmm. And I saw that.
and they basically sellotaped a load of newspaper to around the fridge. They didn't even pull the fridge out. It was literally in the kitchen in the corner, and they put a load of newspaper around it and started spraying it, and then run out of paint, and it was half white, half silver with runs, and it was just like, I don't know why I started this. It looked so easy. I don't know what my husband's going to say when he gets home. And that's obviously, that's an extreme, but you see what I mean? There's people like with the bath boards. Oh, that's easy. That's just a plank of wood with a few holes in it. So I'll get a plank of wood and put some holes in it. And it's not quite
that easy.
Yeah. But it's all about the learning. Everything's a learning curve.
Yeah. And you know what, Richard, I hate to wrap this whole conversation up, because man, we could really do like several episodes on this conversation, because it's a good conversation. I think it's but we've got Gerald, and Gerald wants to do a giveaway to the people that are listening and or watching for this podcast right now. We've got about 50 minutes left to go, so I think that we should probably turn it over to him and let him do his.
I do agree completely, because we've kind of forgotten about you. Well, not forgotten, but we've sort of ignored you a little bit on the way through, Gerald. So yeah, what?
No, it's okay. Yeah, I really quick. I wanted to explain what I want to do tonight. I've been listening to the show since day one. I think I've listened or watched every episode of the podcast, and every Sunday night, I'm here in the chat. Almost, I missed 2 times, I think. But yeah, it's a very fun podcast. I learned a lot from you. I really enjoyed it, and the people in the chat and the listener are part of a very cool community. And yeah, as my stone to the building, if you understand the expression, I just wanted to give something to one of them. So basically, to a giveaway. So I made this wallet. It's not really a wallet. It's part of a wallet and a card holder, and there is the logo of the.
Oh wow!
That's awesome, man. That is awesome.
Yeah,
that is fantastic.
So yeah, it says Mega International, and that's I wanted to give it to someone. So
I love it.
Richard, I don't think you're eligible, buddy.
So how does it work? From now till next Saturday, in the chat or in the video comment section, just try to guess a number between 1 and 999, and the one who guess it right, or the one with the closest will win this wallet, and I will ship it anywhere in the world. So yeah, that's just my way to say thank you to you guys and to the listener of the show.
Man, Redsmith, Gerald, that's
cool.
That's absolutely awesome. And for the folks out in the chat that are here during the live show right now, that means you've got about 10 minutes to guess a number. So stick a number out there between 1 and 999. And then next Saturday, because we obviously we re-release this on Wednesday as a produced show, and then on Saturday we'll have the number that is either right on or closest to it.
A few people already been quite close.
So you've got 10 minutes to write your numbers down, and you get one entry only, guys. So if you only say one number, that's it. If you say 2 numbers, the second number is disqualified. So
exactly.
We're gonna track this as of right now, and I've got everybody out there putting in numbers. So we've got your numbers.
Dan Brent's out there, and so yeah, Dan Brent, you are the winner of the first giveaway.
One guess, Chad. Chad is asking how many guesses. You get one guess, pal.
We've got a question as well, asking what happens if 2 people pick the winning number. That's a good question.
Then we'll flip a coin, and the person who gets heads gets the prize.
Yeah, but maybe people could think I would make another one, but I won't.
No,
this is a truly limited one only.
Yeah, because basically I hate making wallets, laser wallets. I hate that.
Okay. Then so you know what?
No, I don't take me wrong. This one was a pleasure to make. Really, it was a pleasure to make because it was for the show. But I had in the past few commission work for wallets, and if I can turn it down, I do, because that's not my favorite item to make out of laser. But this one, it was for you guys. It was for the listeners. So I had a real pleasure to make it.
No, well, thank you.
That's truly, genuinely nice as well. It's there's a lot of work goes into a wallet to magic. So if more than one person guesses the number, because you've already written the number down, haven't you, Gerald? You wrote it down.
Yeah.
If 2 or more people pick the winning number, you have to come to Makers Central, and we'll stick you in a room, and whoever comes out, they can have the wallet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My buddy Miter Mike just said 357, Chris's age.
Didn't you have a birthday recently? So
Mike,
358 now.
No, my birthday's actually coming up. 357, Chris's age. Yeah,
that's how many square feet a shop he's got.
Yeah. And if you stop and think about it, that's not that big, is it?
No. Yeah, I'm on your side.
Thank you, Jamie. See, I like this guy.
Oh, I don't know. You're all bonkers. So, I mean, you've been making wallets, obviously, Gerald, and I saw some of your posts. I think. Oh, he's gone. Okay, Jamie, what have you been watching on YouTube?
What have I been watching on YouTube? I have been watching a guy called Andy Phillip. He turned an off-center, on-center bowl. Basically, he turned the bowl out of, is it pronounced Wengi or Wenger?
Wengi.
And what he done is he off-centered a piece of Zebrano inside it, and then he glued that in, and then he recentered the blank, and then turned it straight, and it Chad's answered it right.
I've just spotted that. What's the
Yeah.
chance?
Really? Chad got the number?
You got it.
Chad got the number.
Oh
Chad
my
has it.
God. Chad, congratulations, Chad.
Has he actually guessed the number? Has he?
He did.
Yeah.
He said that's
Wow.
my one and only final answer, and he nailed it.
I
Out
even
of,
scrolled through to see if he cheated and had more answers, but he hasn't. Just that one.
out of 0 to 1 to 999, Chad gets 761, and that is absolutely the answer. So congratulations, Chad.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either.
I was bloody scrolling through. I was bloody halfway through, and I'm bloody lost what was my train of thought now. But anyway,
How in the world did you come up with that? That's just wow. Okay, all right, whatever. That's just freaky. I never thought anybody would get that.
Good guess.
Wow.
Pure
Congratulations,
chance.
Chad. Well, there you go, Gerald. Do you know who you're sending the wallet to? Chad, you got a Makers International wallet made by the Redsmith. I think that's friggin' awesome.
Yeah, Chad, send me your address by
and a man crafting cup.
I'm expecting a bit of grief for that. So there's going to be people going.
Yeah, it was a sponsor that won. That's not fair. Now, Chad is Chad's
Genuinely, I wrote it down
Yeah, anyway.
before we went on air. Gerald said the number. I wrote it down on this piece of timber because it was to hand, and
I
Jamie's
want
got it
Chad
written.
to pick me some lottery numbers now.
Yeah, and I need 5 numbers between 149.
Oh, well, well, for those of you who are listening to this, because the podcast is released on Wednesday, I'm sorry you weren't able to participate because Chad just stole it from you. But
Sorry,
we really thought it would last longer than that, but whatever. Okay. Sorry.
You'll have to watch live next time.
There you go.
Dear, oh dear. So,
Where were we? We got like 6 minutes left.
so Jamie's watching his off-turn bowl.
The off-turn bowl by Andy Phillip.
Awesome.
That's cool. And then Gerald, you kind of, I thought I'd offended you because you'd run off, and obviously your connection. Did you just close Chrome
No,
again by accident?
I touched the computer again, so yeah. I have my hand in my pocket. So, yeah.
Just don't touch anything.
No, I
Um,
won't.
So you've been busy making, and with the arm casts and the wallet and everything else. But who have you been watching on YouTube?
Yeah, I've discovered a channel called W and M. It's basically wood and metal. It's a pretty big channel, but the videos are really well made. He's a machinist, I think, because there is a lot of metal lathe footage, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So check his channel. But the one I would like to give a shout out tonight is Rob from Rob's Woodshop. He just finished his coffee table. It was a 10 or maybe more video series, and the table is very, very cool. It's awesome. So please check his channel, Rob's Woodshop.
Wicked.
Awesome.
Okay.
Got it.
Joe, I watched your pebble table waterfall stream video, and that's awesome. But I'm assuming, I know a lot of work went into that. So, but you must have been watching something on YouTube that.
Yeah,
you wanna talk
something
about.
that caught my eye this week is Al's Hack Shack. I mean, he's had a lot of mentions on this podcast, but he recently hit 1,000 subscribers, and he done like a little thank you video. Well, I say a little thank you video. He's kind of gone above and beyond. He made 1,000 dominoes, 1,000 cuts to make these dominoes. He then painted them, and he then wrote the names of all of the subscribers on each of the dominoes, laid them out into the numbers like 1,000 and toppled them over. And it's just like, I can't even begin to imagine sitting down or standing and thinking, I'm going to make 1,000 cuts and then I'm going to write 1,000 names on them. It just shows like how committed he is. But he's got a really nice piece at the end because he's actually raising money for Movember. So he does talk about it at the end, and he's got a really good way with words. So it's well worth watching, and like check out the links in the description to the video to see if you can help out with Movember and stuff. It's not just donating, just lend your time, lend an ear, reach out to someone who needs help and make a difference.
Absolutely. I'm grinding to Joe as well.
That was a great video. Not only was it a cool build and everything he did, but it hit you in the feels, if you know what I mean. So exactly. That was really well done. Richard, I've been watching. Well, you know what? I'm gonna surpass the person I was gonna mention, and I will mention you next week. So don't worry about it. And you don't know who you are anyway, so it doesn't friggin' matter. But the video I think was the best video I watched this week was Joe Whitaker's. He just put out that video on that river bed table that he did, and if you haven't seen that, boy went through a ton of frustrations making this thing, and he included all those frustrations in the video, but showed how he resolved it and came out with an absolutely awesome looking table. So Joe, seriously, my friend, and I'm not kissing up because I mean you obviously know I don't need to, because I could tell you to go to hell if I wanted to, but absolutely awesome video. Check out Joe's video about the riverbed table that he made for a cause, and with the help of a few sponsors that helped him out. So if you have the opportunity, check it out, because that's definitely worth your watch.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mate. I'm glad it's done now.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
I'm never making another one again.
See, I want to do a series.
I found your video through Facebook, and I know we've talked about Facebook and YouTube kind of having been at loggerheads almost in terms of how they propagate things and all the rest of it. But my video this week that I'd like to mention was actually posted in the Makers on YouTube Facebook group by one of our listeners, Andy Pugh. And I actually thought that the video was his because I saw his name in the video, and I clicked on the video. And what caught my eye was it's a sign. It's like an old, I don't know whether it's 40s or 50s or, sort of mid 20th century-ish enamel sign for Bolton and Paul, which were a manufacturer in Norwich in the UK. Mm-hmm. And it's a really quick, I think it's about a 2.5 minute video, and basically the guy cleans the sign up and mounts it onto a door, and then makes it like a cabinet door for the workshop or something like that. But the reason it stuck out to me was because Bolton and Paul made the Bolton Paul Defiant, which was an RAF fighter during the Battle of Britain. Everyone thinks Hurricane Spitfire, but there were also these other fighters that they used that weren't terribly successful. They went on to become, I'm a bit of a war nerd, as you might think. They went on to make a big impact during the Blitz as well. So quite historically for the country and the world, significant. But Chris, it wasn't Andy Pugh. It wasn't his channel. It was, and I keep forgetting, and I know you know the channel.
I do know the channel. It was Wave Cycles.
Wave Cycles, that's it. So
Jim.
Yes. See, I'm rubbish, and I think it's partly because of Facebook and
you know what? Yeah, and let me just say this. Richard, you and I are both kind of historic war geeks when it comes to that era, because I know we've talked about it, and we could go into that. I could go into that more than I could the glue, which we won't go into. But I totally understand where you're coming from with that. And this gentleman's channel, he's got one video on it. He just started his YouTube channel. So if I can encourage anybody who's listening to this podcast right now to check out Wave Cycles. The last time I looked, he only had 7 subscribers.
Yeah, his name's Jim.
Ladies and gentlemen, go subscribe to that boy's channel, because I mean that first video he did straight out of the box, absolutely awesome. I absolutely appreciated it. So if you have the chance to check out Wave Cycles on YouTube, go subscribe to that channel. He's got 7 subscribers, And I think he'd be happy if we could get him to 100 before the end of the week. So let's do that.
Definitely.
I'm just about to post his channel in the chat now.
Awesome.
Good stuff. So, that covers on everything that we're doing. I always forget to do this. I've forgotten to do this. I don't know how many times, but do we have a guest on next week?
We do.
And the guest is
Woodwork Life.
So make sure you tune in next week to that episode, because I think it's going to be another good one. I do enjoy our guest shows. So anyone got anything else they want to say? We're 1 minute over.
Yeah, I want to thank Patrick from Patrick's Woodshop. He made a router jig in one of his videos, so I just want to thank him for giving me one more reason not to use a router.
Yeah.
Oh God, Richard, wrap it up.
Bless him, wicked. So make sure you head on over and check out the videos we've mentioned, and obviously Gerald. Thanks to everyone who at least tried to get the number. Congratulations to Chad. Make sure you join us next week for Woodwork Life, and we'll see you all next week. You all take care.
You guys have a great week.
See you next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
Bye, guys.